we're back. Right, hard drive sorted finally. What I ended up having to do was do 2 8TB in each of the first 2 sort of caddies, and then 2 in the second one but in the bottom, whereas these 2 they had to be in the top 2. So I've got 2 in the bottom one here. Then I've got my adapter for 2 SSDs in the top with the Raptor drive in it, which is bigger than an SSD, so I can't get a second SSD, which I had to screw into the top, which meant this is the third SSD has actually been double-sided sticky taped into the side over there. Should be fine once it's in and mounted, but whoa, what a nightmare. So anyway, time to move on and install something else. Now next up I've got a very important bit I want to do. RAM, some memory. So we've gone, or I've gone for, again, Vengeance LPX, which should be low profile memory. This is, obviously it's DDR4 because it's a Ryzen build, so it has to be DDR4. This is 24 megahertz, or 2400 megahertz rather. 24 megahertz would be a bit pants, wouldn't it really? So let's crack this bad boy open and check it fits in okay. Because this cable is coming in mighty close, so it is making me a little bit nervous. So I've gone for 16 gigs in total, so that's 2 8 gig sticks. So I don't really think I'm going to need much more. I know that with some of these NAS setups they recommend you sort of go every terabyte 1 gig, but I can't ever think that I'm going to need that in a sort of home environment, as it were. And even if I carry this over, I do end up using it for something that is not considered home, I still don't think I'm going to need it. Now then, this is the challenging part. Oh, we might be in for a sticky situation. Right, helps if you open up the catches. There we go. So, the issue it looks like we're going to have, and I have no clue how I'm going to get around it at this stage, is that with the RAM in, with the RAM in the right way around, in fact. Oh dear. I don't even think it's going to fit in there, is it? No. So because of the layout of this motherboard, which I must admit was never intended to be used like this, I can only get 1 stick of RAM in with that bottom hard drive in. So what I'm probably going to have to do is put the 2 SSDs over here and not use the Raptor drive, and then do 1 SSD for cache and 1 SSD for that, unless I can find some other really ingenious mounting solution. So back to the drawing board again. Yippee! In fact, we've got an even bigger problem, because in actual fact, looking at it, I'm not going to be able to get to the power adapter for that hard drive either. So what I'll have to do is take both of these out, turn that one upside down, run one upside down to see if that works okay and I can get to the connectors, and then move that one over there. Whew. It never rains, but it pours when you build PCs. Cool. Be honest, it's why you come to this channel, isn't it? For my positive attitude. Right, the hard drives are back out, but in the interest of not boring you all to tears, I'm going to go through and do the rest of the component installs and then come back to the hard drives afterwards. So, let's get the memory back in there. Okay. You can get the memory out. So we're going to go on low profile here. This is going to hopefully at least going to make my life a little bit easier. And again, I've got the cooler on there just to help with the spreading. Heat. I can't imagine it's going to generate a huge amount of heat in there, but you never know. And what's this? Is there a bit of stupid plastic on it? I can't tell. Let's have a look. Yeah, there is. Also, I can't imagine that tiny bit of plastic can really do any harm. I'd rather not have it in my system, to be honest. You get some people, I know a few who love to leave it on. They're like, oh, it protects it. I'm like, yeah, but it's also not supposed to be on there during normal operation. and I consider when I'm using a device to be normal operation. Okay, here we go. 2 sticks of RAM in. Get in. So, what's next on our to install list, I hear you ask? Very good question. We'll go for this next. Hallelujah. This is indeed my Ryzen CPU. So, obviously, given that this is a prime motherboard running a AMD chipset, it was going to be an AMD processor. I considered going for a Ryzen 3 for this build, I must admit, to help keep things cool and quiet and calm. But in the end, I decided against it. Now this is the AMD Wrath Cooler, I believe is the correct pronunciation of it. Let's have a quick gander at it. Well, it's big, isn't it? Look at that. Well, the first time I've seen the AMD one in the flesh. It's not bad actually, considering some of the previous versions. It's a bit reasonable. With this, I'm just going to have a quick look. See, it's a bit close on the fitment for my liking. And although this is designed obviously to run a Ryzen, it's not the one I'm going to be using. Now, just to show you, there's another little box obviously that I'll go through, but that's it for inside of here, so we'll ignore that for now. And then there's this. There it is. Ryzen. You're really getting a reflection off of that. I was a bit naff, wasn't it? Never mind. But before I install it, there's one other thing that we need to take a quick look at. What I'm going to be cooling it with, because I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use this. It's a bit bigger. This is the Shadow Rock low profile 130 watt TDP from Be Quiet. I went with this one because although this is only rated to about 85 watts, it's in theory anyway, it's going to be warm in there. So we've got some paperwork, we've got a fan, you'll have to take my word for it because I'll get out in a bit. Crappy fan that no one's interested in, hurrah. And we have the cooler there, so that sits in, I assume it sits that way, I'm hoping it sits this way anyway. More or less like that, so you can see that that's a heck of a lot lower profile, even when you strap a fan on the top. And because of all these lovely fins, and I really do just want to say, I really approve of this sort of double thin thing they got going on. Love that to bits. That should help keep things nice and cool. Like silica gel, can never go wrong with silica gel. Cardboardy with a foam pouch, that's very interesting. And mounting hardware, hurrah! So, I've been told this fits, so let's have a quick look. For AMD, what do you have to do? So it should just clip on and plug in. Brilliant. That was me reading the instructions, by the way. I hope you enjoyed that. Doesn't happen often. 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe it doesn't just clip in. See that I was optimistic. Oh, sorry, far too much. Right, okay. Let's have a look at this. So for the AMD, I need to use 12, 14, and 13. Don't know if that means anything to anybody. Let's have a look. Some screws, some retention nuts, and a big old chunk of metal. Yeah, that's fine. I can agree to that. That seems reasonable enough to me. So the only thing I haven't seen in the instructions was how to attach the fan. So I should probably look that one up in just a second. And okay, here we go. Look. All your retention brackets. That's good to know that we've got those. That would have been a right nightmare if they weren't in the box. Don't know why. It's brand new. They would be in the box. Pre-applied thermal paste, by the way. Big fan of that. Although I like to choose my thermal paste normally, in setups like this where you're not doing anything high end, and let's face it, if you only need to do 130 watt TDP, you're not. I quite enjoy the fact that it's pre-connected in. PWM fan, this is just a standard Be Quiet. So, we'll fit this on there now. What was I looking for next? Oh yes, I was going to re-pick up the instructions that tell you how to install the fan and have a look.
The fan goes straight onto the top. There's a bit of how it actually clips on.
So I assume based on that then, as there aren't any obviousness enough for me. That sits on like that, which we do there. There must be some potential. There must be some slightly better instructions than that, I'm afraid, because
Doesn't tell you what bits to use.
so let's have a look in here. Apparently the bits that I need are in here. And there's fan wing clips. They look like number 3, so that's these.
So they go in, I see they go in there. Oh, I don't know.
So you've got to put it on and do the fan last. Fine, fine, fine. That's how they want to do it. That's how we will do it. Anyway. Now, if anyone dares say to me, why didn't you use a thread ripper, they get a slap. Who on earth would put a thread ripper in a NAS build like this? If I was using this to do live streaming and encoding and everything else, then maybe. Oh, there you go. Get a better look at that bad boy. Ryzen. Okay.
So do that.
There we go. Perfect. It just sits in there perfectly. Now just re-refer to these yet again, just to make sure I'm going to do this all right. So that hooks on over there, that hooks on over there. So that goes over the top. And talk about needle in a haystack. So you have to get this goes in here, right? Which then gets a screw through it. You then repeat on the other side. That then pushes down and clips over the 2 clips that are built in. And then these bits here line up with gaps in there. I know, it's just so simple when you say it like that. Right then, let's have a quick gander at this. If you look, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well. So I do apologise if this comes a bit naff. You see the gaps in the base right where my finger is there? Well, that's for this to slide through. There you go. So, anyway, you get the point. So let's just... There we go. That goes like that. I don't know if there's that. Let me just stick this back on. And this just got a whole lot harder. Unless I can put the screw through the other direction, which you clearly can't. Right then, there we go. Now I'll leave it for you guys to decide if you think this is genius construction style or not, but they've cut out the fans or fins there just to let you get to the screws. I personally feel that's a bit risque, but credit to them for having the balls to do it. Right then. So what I've got to do now is take it off and redo it like that.
Like that.
I hate doing this bit. Always think you're going to break your motherboard. I'm very lucky I've never damaged a motherboard doing this, but it's always the first time. And naturally, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it on camera, aren't you? And that will keep it on nice and secure. Now, what I'm supposed to do next is install the fan. And if I'm understanding these fan installations properly, it goes into those top corners and pings down under these edges here. Now this is a Pure Wing 2 1500 RPM. Now I'm a newbie bugger, so let's just see if I can fit one of these on it. I don't think I'll be able to because it's massive. No, nowhere near going to be able to fit that on. Bit of a shame. Would have been quite nice to have got that and done a complete nocturne build, even though, you know, not really meant for it, but don't tell anyone, I'm sure we'll get away with it. Okay. This is the instructions, and this is the bit specifically for attaching the fan. That one whole line. I hope you can read it, it's great. So,
In between. See if that's the case is really rather dodgy in my opinion. But what would I know? Because I am not be quiet, I'm not sponsored by be quiet, and I'm not employed by be quiet. I suspect all they want is for me to be quiet. Yeah, seriously, Captain, they want to be like that. Oh, dear Lord. Right.
not going to comment, not going to comment. So how it works is you put this through the two, what would normally be screw holes on each corner, which is fine. Then you effectively stretch it down to a recess and pinch a whole bunch of fans down, like this. But I'm not happy with that because of the fact that I've actually want to go the other way a little bit. So, like so, and then like so. Because what I would love it to do, so that I can make it fit just right, is blow, here, that'd be a lot better there, is blow a bit of the air down onto the smaller sort of fanned bit underneath. Like so. Ta-da! Now, if you've been paying attention, which you have because you're all very good like that, you might have noticed that I've got 6 SATA ports. 6 SATA ports. And I've then got 6 8TB hard drives, 2 SSDs, and a Raptor drive, which would be the C drive. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, that isn't going to work, is it? Quite right. And that's why I have this. Okay, now this comes from, I should probably show the right side, shouldn't I? That one. Ba-da-ba-ba! This is made by, is it LYCOM? Is that how you pronounce their name? Anybody? I don't know if that's actually the correct pronunciation, doesn't have it on here. But anyway, how this works is pretty simple. This plugs in to one SATA port and gives you 5 more out of it. It does come with a low profile adapter. In the box there are some instructions, but it's completely driverless, so we're not too bothered with those. And then you get the unit itself. So let's take a quick look at it, okay? And this is it here. So how it works is, you have your one port coming in, as you can clearly see, and then you have 5 ports coming out. Now it's worth noting that there are some limitations behind a device like this. And I'm not going to go through all of them now, but I'll give you a brief overview. This is not an intelligent device. And when I say it's not intelligent, what I mean is it doesn't have a brain or anything like that. So whilst you could arguably say, so what I'm not worried about is the hard drives are bottlenecking it. What I'm worried about is that these buggers won't go in. And the reason I'm not too concerned with that is that although SSDs can quite easily, if you get some of the more high bandwidth ones, I'm thinking some of the Samsungs, even some of the Intels get in there now, where they're pushing over the half a gig read speeds, they could in theory cause you some issues down the line where you're actually losing out performance if you're trying to access more than one of the drives. Now, although I'm going to set up these in a RAID, it's going to be a software RAID, not hardware RAID for a start. And it's also only using the hard drives, which shouldn't be a problem because of the cache drives and a few other things. Now, one other thing I like about this is technically I don't need to put it on the motherboard. I don't know if you can see here, there's a little bit of plastic, but all of the connectors are in the top and the back. What I'm going to do though is I am going to install it right here. If you can see it, let's give you a bit more zoomage. There at the back. And the reason I'm going to do it at the back over here, well hey, there you go, is that there is nothing on my motherboard that's actually going to connect in there. So it should have no negative impact. Apart from technically speaking, because of the way this motherboard has been designed, I'm taking this out. As you can see, it's got some holes in it, so it actually reduces airflow. But again, I really am not too bothered by that. So, that goes in there. Right. I could have got one that connects into a PCI slot and actually uses up a couple of PCI lanes, as that would have given me, in theory, better performance. Because obviously it would have had the PCI lanes for it all. But I'm not going to do that, and I don't intend to do that. Because as good as that would be to do, it'll be of no real benefit to me in the long run. The other advantage of doing it like this first is that if for some reason I wanted to, let's say I wanted to add in hardware RAID, in this day and age I don't really know why you'd want to add in hardware RAID, but you can do. So let's say I decided that is exactly the way I needed to go. My life would end without hardware RAID, then I can do. And it will be in a proud land. And I won't even have to remove this other card. Right, so final main component now. Okay. So this is used. I bought this second hand off of Fleabay. I've already had a look at it. There is a problem with it, and I do know the problem, and I'll tell you the problem. This is an Intel Pro, does that have the actual model number on it? Intel Pro 1000 PT quad port LP server adapter. Okay, so these aren't cheap, but I can't remember how much I got it for off eBay because I jobbed up a couple of them. And it's got 4 gig ports on it. And this is going to be my main connectivity. Let's check out which one of these it is before I start popping them out.